Okay, just a quick video. This is on another political topic. Minimum wage. A lot of people that are arguing against raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, I see you guys pointing to this article that Forbes.com did like 2 years ago or something. It was supposed to be debunking why the minimum wage, why it shouldn't be raised to $15 an hour. Let's set aside everything else that's what I'm going to get to in this video. First of all, you don't understand the first thing about the economy if you think that the minimum wage doesn't need to be raised because, or at least the history of our economy, because everybody complains about how expensive everything is, and the reason the prices have gone up in the last decade is due to inflation. That's no secret. Everybody understands that, right? In a realistic economy, what causes inflation is the devaluation of the dollar. You have too much money in circulation in the economy, and so the dollar is worth less. Let's say that in 1995, before the spike in inflation, let's say this was worth 99 cents. Because the dollar is worth less now, it takes more dollars to equal what this was originally worth. So that's why it's like $1.75 or $1.59 or whatever it is now. So the price of goods goes up because the value of the dollar is less. Okay, so why doesn't that apply to the wages? That's why the minimum wage has to be raised to $15 an hour, is because when you raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, you're taking into account inflation. That's the main reason why it needs to be raised, is because the cost of living has gone up the past decade in response to inflation, and wages haven't. Okay, so that's economics 101. Okay, that's the main reason why the minimum wage has got to be raised. Back to what I really want to address in this video is this article that everybody keeps pointing to try to, as an argument against raising the minimum wage. The article cites several sources. The Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is a very reputable source. According to the study that they did, only 3.7 million Americans were working at or below minimum wage. When you say it like that, it sounds like it's not that big of a problem. It sounds like it's only 3.7 million people out of the entire American population. Okay, but what you people fail to understand is that when the Bureau of Labor Statistics conducted that study, okay, they were basing their stats on a $7.50 an hour wage, because they were trying to figure out how many people were at or below minimum wage. So their stats only included people that were making $7.50 an hour or below. So if somebody's making $7.75 an hour or $8 an hour or $9 an hour, they're not included in those stats. While the study may show that 3.7 million Americans are at or below minimum wage, what it doesn't show is that the next 150 million or 200 million Americans could be at $8.50 an hour or $9 an hour. So they're still well below what all studies currently show to be what is realistically a living wage accounting for inflation. Every study right now shows that the absolute bare minimum living wage right now should be $15 an hour. When you take into account, adjusted for inflation, the minimum wage should be $15 an hour. Suddenly, you've got 40% of the population below the poverty line. You've got like 100 million people that are like at $8.50 an hour to $9 an hour, or hell, even $10 an hour, and they're below what the minimum wage should be right now. I wanted to clear that up, okay? Because it sounds good when you quote it, but it doesn't mean anything. Okay, all it means is that 3.7 million people are at or below minimum wage. It doesn't tell you how many people are just above minimum wage. There's no reason why we should even be having this discussion. I understand that if the minimum wage goes up, these greedy ass fucking corporations are going to have to cut into their profits and actually pay their workers a decent wage, but get the fuck over it. That's just one of those inconvenient truths of running a business. If you don't want to pay your workers a fair wage for keeping your company afloat, okay, then don't hire any workers. Okay, get off your fucking overpaid fat ass and get down there and do the work yourself. Another argument that I get a lot is people say that if the minimum wage goes up, then these companies are going to have to raise their prices again. First of all, that shouldn't be the case, okay? And if it were up to me, if I were the one, handling this raise in the minimum wage, I would introduce some sort of legislation to make sure that they can't do that, to make sure that companies would not be allowed to raise the price of their goods in response to raising the minimum wage. Your prices being raised, this bottle of water being $1.79 or $1.59 or whatever it is, has already been raised in response to inflation. Okay, you don't get to raise it again because the wages go up. The reality is that you have to make less profit. And I know that just makes your stomach turn, okay, but you can't keep sucking all the fucking wealth out of the bottom middle class, because eventually, if you continue along this trend, if you continue sucking every last penny out of the middle class, eventually they won't have any money to spend. You'll have it all up at the top, and then what? Then you literally will have reached an impasse, okay? You won't be able to make more profit the following year, or you will be forced into taking a loss because no one will have any money left to buy any of your bullshit products, because all of their money is being spent on their living expenses every month, and at the end of the month they don't have anything left over to spend to put back into the economy. So when you give them a $15 an hour minimum wage, they have more money to spend at the end of the month. As bad as it sounds for them just to go out and just spend it on bullshit, that's what stimulates the economy, is when you go out to Walmart and just fucking go nuts and buy video games and, you know, and TVs and stuff. Is when you're going to Starbucks or you're going to McDonald's or you're buying bottled water like this, okay, that's what stimulates the economy, not the top 1% sucking all the wealth out of the middle class. Anyway, I covered a lot in this video, but the main thing I wanted to cover was that article from Forbes that everybody keeps pointing to try to debunk why we shouldn't raise minimum wage, because it's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, it doesn't make a lick of sense because it only covers people who are making minimum wage or less and does not fucking take into account people who are making above minimum wage, which could be anywhere between $7.75 an hour and $10 an hour, which is still well below what the studies right now show should be the absolute bare minimum.